Sup guys, it's Alex here and welcome to the January 19th, 2021 edition of the Bracketology Update. Man, look at all the movement in the bracket. This past week was just absolutely crazy for college basketball. The one time, I think in the last Bracketology I did on the 15th, I had Michigan winning it all because I was like, you know what, why not have somebody else win it all? And then of course they go and lose and get destroyed by Minnesota. But I mean, that's just one game for Michigan. They've had a fantastic year so far and deservedly still have a number one seed. As you can see, they're still the third overall seed. And then Minnesota, just what a win for Minnesota, getting back on track after getting destroyed by Michigan in the last time they played. But taking a look here at the bracket, just tons of movement overall. We have a new number one seed in Iowa now getting that last spot. They are taking over the place of Villanova, who hasn't had a game since, I think, December 23rd, just because of all the COVID issues going on within that program. But if we take a look here at the first region, we now have Oklahoma State up to an 8 seed. They are looking pretty good. Rutgers down to a 9. I don't know what's going on with that program. They just can't seem to get a quality win. I think they've lost like 5 out of their last 6 games or something like that. Clemson now down to a 5. Virginia just absolutely destroyed them at Clemson's home court on Saturday. But I think it was like 35 or 37 points, something like that. It was just absolutely crazy. A horrendous loss for Clemson. I mean, it's just one game, but it's like, wow, if you face that sort of team, I mean, does that bode well for the tournament? I don't know. But then we have Ohio State now up to a 4. They had a quality win this past week over Illinois, so that was really impressive. Oregon down to a 6. Michigan State down to an 11. Bryant new to the field as a 14. Louisville down to a 7 after having a surprising loss to Miami, Florida on the road. I was really surprised that Louisville lost that, and then they ended up getting destroyed by Florida State at home last night. So I don't know what's going on with that program, but they need to get some, as Chris Mack put it, they need to get some S corrected. I can't say it on YouTube or else I'll probably get demonetized, but either way. Region 2, Baylor remaining the 1 seed. Fantastic quality win at home over Kansas last night. Purdue now up to an 8 seed. And we have Illinois down to a 5. I just don't know what to think of Illinois. I'm still super bullish on them. I know a lot of teams would have the same situation as Illinois, and I'd be down on them. But, I just believe in the talent. I believe in Iota Sumo. I believe in Kofi Cockburn. I believe in the program that team has this season. I just don't know what's going on. I don't know why they can't. Some games they look like they can beat anybody in the nation. Some games, they look like they did against Ohio State and just not even really competitive. Then we have Virginia now up to a 4 seed after having that huge win on the road against Clemson. I think in the last Bracketology, Virginia was like a 7, so they ended up jumping up to a 4 after that just dominant win. Missouri down to a 6, Northeastern up to a 14. Florida State now up to a 7, Drake now up to a 10. They had to put a pause due to COVID issues as well, but they are looking good. They are undefeated. And for a mid-major team to have a 10 seed, that's a quality team right there. Then we have Houston now up to a 2 seed. Region 3, South Dakota State new to the field as a 16. Connecticut down to an 8 after losing to St. John's last night. Boise State up to a 9. UCLA up to a 5. Minnesota, as I mentioned earlier, with that win over Michigan, now up to a 6. North Carolina and BYU on that play-in game. North Carolina on the bubble as well. I think this is the first AP Top 25 poll since 1961 where Duke, North Carolina, and Kentucky are all unranked, which is pretty crazy. First time in 50 years. Then we have, it was 60 years, 61 to 21. Then we have Creighton down to a 3, LSU up to a 7, and then UMBC new to the field as a 15. Nice to see that program back in the tournament. But then over there in Region 4, Iowa up to a 1. Montana State new to the field as a 16. St. Louis down to an 8. Colorado up to a 5. Siena up to a 13. Alabama with a really impressive week up to a 3. They went on the road and beat Kentucky by 20 in a battle for the SEC lead. And then they just destroyed Arkansas as well. I think they won by like 31 points or something like that. That was a really impressive week for Alabama. Really impressed with them. Then we have Arkansas, as I just mentioned, got destroyed by Alabama. They are now down to a 10. Villanova down to a 2, and then Texas State new to the field as a 15. Then if we take a look here at the bubble, we have last 4 byes: Florida, Michigan State, Duke, and Oklahoma. Last 4 in are BYU, North Carolina, Stanford, Utah State. First 4 out are San Diego State, who just can't get a quality win right now. They've lost 2 in a row to Utah State, Richmond, Maryland, and Marquette. And then the next 4 out are Wichita State, Pittsburgh, Syracuse, and VCU. So if we go over here to the bracket, you guys know with every single Bracketology that I do, I go ahead and make my bracket predictions for Joe Lunardi's most recent Bracketology and see who I think would win the championship. I'm doing this I think it's every Tuesday and Friday right now, then hopefully it gets a little bit more frequent as the tournament gets a little bit closer. But either way, let's go ahead and get started. So at first, we're obviously going to have Gonzaga moving on past the winner of NC A&T and Jacksonville State. I think Oklahoma and Cade Cunningham can beat Rutgers. Rutgers is one of the teams that I was in the first couple months of the season, I thought they were going to make a run to the Final Four, but I just don't know about it right now. Then I'm going to go with Clemson here beating the winner of Stanford and Utah State, which I think at this point would probably be Utah State. We're going to go with Ohio State beating Furman. I am going to go with an upset pick here. I do believe in Tom Izzo and Michigan State. That's probably a really good matchup for them there. They're probably going to be a really strong 11 seed, but they need to turn that program around. It's just more I'm not really sold on Oregon making a huge tournament run this year. Then we're going to have Kansas here moving on past Bryant. Then I think that Louisville can beat Florida, and then Tennessee will beat Cleveland State. But then for a spot in the Sweet 16, we will have Gonzaga here moving on past Oklahoma State, though I'd love to see Oklahoma State pull off the upset. It's just not going to happen against Oklahoma State. Then in a battle here of the college football playoff semifinals between Clemson and Ohio State, this one will be a huge matchup for college football. I am going to go with the team that won that matchup there in Ohio State to move on to the Sweet 16. Then I'm going to go with Kansas here moving on past Michigan State, and then Tennessee moving on past Louisville. So we got the top 4 seeds moving on here. I'm going to go with Gonzaga moving on past Ohio State, and then I am going to go with Kansas moving on here if I can pick freaking Gonzaga. There we go. I am going to go with Kansas as the 3 seed, pulling off the slight upset over the 2 seed Tennessee Volunteers. And then for a spot in the Final Four, I got to go with Gonzaga out of this region. I just don't see any teams other than Gonzaga making a run through this bracket. Gonzaga is just super good. But then if we go over here to Region 2, we'll have Baylor moving on past the winner of Southern and Utah Valley. Then I'm going to go with Purdue moving on past Seton Hall. I just don't believe in Seton Hall. I don't know why they're still a 9 right now. Illinois, I think, will be able to handle St. Bonaventure there, and then Belmont will be able to Belmont will lose to Virginia. Almost went with an upset pick there, but I can't do that one. Virginia just beat Clemson on the road by 37. But then I am going to go with an upset pick here, so I'm going to have both 11 seeds moving on so far with Oklahoma over Missouri. Missouri, I just think may be a pretender. They had a really good start to the year, but they just haven't really been looking good over the last month or so. I'm going to go with Wisconsin here moving on past Northeastern. Then I'm going to go with Florida State here moving on past Drake. I really want Drake to win there. Just a bad matchup there against Leonard Hamilton and the Florida State Seminoles. Then I'm going to go with Houston here moving on past St. Houston State. Then for a spot in the Sweet 16, we got Baylor moving on past Purdue. I am going to go with Virginia moving on past Illinois. You guys know how bullish I am on Illinois, but I got to go with the team that's more proven at this point. Got to go with Virginia over Illinois. And then I am going to go with Wisconsin here, moving on past Oklahoma. But then I'm going to go with an upset pick here and go with Florida State over Houston. I think that team is riding the ship right now. I think they beat Louisville last night, and I think they either beat Duke or Virginia Tech last week, something like that. That's why they're at 2-7 now. I think that they can spring the upset there over Houston. Then for a spot in the Elite Eight, we are going to go with Baylor here, moving on past Virginia. And then I'm going to go with another upset and go with Florida State as a 7 seed, moving on to the Elite Eight here over Wisconsin. I do believe in Florida State this year. I'd like to see them make a run and make up for last year to where they could have won the championship last year. They were that good. But then for a spot in the Final Four, they're going to run into the roadblock that is Baylor, and that Baylor is going to move on to the Final Four. So then Michigan versus South Dakota. I am going to go with Michigan, obviously, moving on past South Dakota. Connecticut, I think we'll be able to beat Boise State. If you had asked me that question yesterday, I would have gone 100% Connecticut. But that loss against St. John's, I don't know. I still think they're going to beat Boise State, but it's going to be close either way. Then I go with Winthrop pulling off the upset over UCLA. I do believe in Winthrop. I think Winthrop and Drake are my 2 teams that mid-majors that I think can make a run through the tournament with the right matchups. Drake just did not have a good matchup there in round 1. Then I'm going to go with West Virginia here over UAB. Then I'm going to go with Minnesota beating the winner of UNC and BYU, which I think would be BYU. Then Creighton, I think, will be able to beat Navy. Then I'm going to go with LSU over Indiana, and then Texas over UMBC. Then for a spot here in the Sweet 16, we're going to go with Michigan over Connecticut. Then I'm going to go with another upset pick here. I'm going to go with the 12 seed Winthrop. Why not let it fly? Why not go with the 12 seed Cinderella run to the Sweet 16 and Winthrop? They are undefeated at this point. They haven't really played anybody truly good, but they're undefeated for a reason, looking good, and I think that they can make the run. Then I'm going to go with another upset pick here and go with Minnesota. This team with Marcus Carr can catch fire at any point, and if they catch fire here over Creighton, I think they can make it to the Sweet 16 in a 6-3 upset. And then I'm going to go with Texas here, moving on past LSU. Then for a spot in the Elite Eight, we got Michigan ending Winthrop's Cinderella run, and I'm going to go with I really want to go with Minnesota pulling off the upset. So you know what? I'm going to do just that. Minnesota pulling off the upset here against Texas, 6-2, which means we're going to have the third matchup, assuming there's no matchup in the Big Ten tournament, between Michigan and Minnesota here. These 2 teams have split the 2 games they played so far, and both games were blowouts. I think Michigan won by 25, and then Minnesota won by 16 or 18, something like that. I don't know. But either way, I do think that Michigan will be able to win that one. I do think they are the better team, though that would be really fun to see. So If you're watching at this point, go ahead and comment peanut butter. I did this on every single bracketology that I've been doing at random points in the video to see who's really loyal subscribers and see who's really watching these videos. I just put a random food item and have you guys comment. So if you're watching this video, just know that this video at this point, just know I appreciate you for sticking with it. I know these aren't the most exciting videos, but I just like going through these. So if you're watching at this point, comment peanut butter. But then for the final region over here, we got Iowa moving on past Montana State. I think St. Louis can beat Xavier. I'm going to go with Toledo pulling off the 12-5 upset. I do like Colorado, but I also like Toledo, and why not let it fly at this point in the year with some upsets? I'm going to go with Texas Tech here, moving on past Siena. I'm going to go with USC beating Duke with Evan Mobley, then Alabama, I almost said Arizona, Alabama beating UC Irvine. Then I'm going to go with Virginia Tech here beating Arkansas, and then Villanova pulling off the victory against Texas State, almost said Texas Tech. Then for a spot in the Sweet 16, we do have Iowa here moving on past St. Louis. Then I'm going to go Texas Tech moving on past Toledo. Then Alabama, I think, will be able to handle USC pretty easily. And then, I'll pick Texas State over here. We got to go with Villanova beating Texas State. Glad I caught that. Then I'm going to go with Villanova here moving on past Virginia Tech. Though these two teams played earlier this year, Virginia Tech did pull off the upset. I think that's Villanova's only loss on the season. But I do think Villanova is the better team when we get the victory there. Then for a spot in the Elite Eight, we are going to go with Iowa here moving on past Texas Tech. And then I'm going to go with Villanova moving on past Alabama. And then I am going to go with Villanova here moving on to the Final Four. We can't have all 4 number 1 seeds there, and we got to pull off some upsets there. Just worried about Iowa's defense, especially against a quality team like Villanova. I just don't think Iowa will be able to keep up. I mean, their offense will be able to keep them in the game, but they just got to, they got to score more than their opponent. And I don't think their defense can prevent their opponent from scoring more than them. So I do think Villanova is going to make the Final Four. But then they're going to run into the buzzsaw that is Gonzaga here in the Final Four, and they will face Baylor, who will be able to beat Michigan as well, which sets up Gonzaga versus Baylor in the national championship game yet again. And I am going to go with, why not let it fly, and why not go with Baylor? I mean, I'll probably be flip-flopping between these two teams over the course of these next couple bracketologies. I mean, probably just throughout the rest of the year. But Baylor just got that quality win at home against Kansas. Why not just go ahead and ride? I think they beat Texas Tech earlier on Saturday too, so 2 quality wins right in a row for Baylor. Why not go with the team that has a ton of momentum and quality wins right now? And that will be the Baylor Bears. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Make sure you comment the food item if you had been watching at like the 10:30 mark or something like that. I don't remember when I said it. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you all later.